Namaste, everyone. Michele Granberg here. Welcome to another episode of Positive Energy, bringing enlightening television for your evolving soul. What does it mean to be humane? Being humane is a virtue associated with the fundamental ethics of altruism, empathy, and harmlessness. It means selflessly putting the needs of others ahead of our own. The Humane Society of the United States is a nonprofit organization that focuses on animal welfare and opposes animal-related cruelties on a national and local scale. On this show, I'm joined by Brian Hackett, New Jersey State Director of the Humane Society, to educate us on their latest actions on behalf of innocent animals. And be sure to stay with us to the end for my very special musical guest, singer-songwriter Lindsay Jordan. Positive Energy starts right now. So, Brian, welcome to Positive Energy.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. So, the Humane Society is a national animal protection organization. They stand up for animals who are suffering, and they attempt to create a more humane society for all beings.
Correct.
So could you expand a little bit more on the Humane Society's mission and purpose and methods?
Yes. So our national organization, we work to address institutionalized animal cruelty on a large scale level. So we fight for all animals. We go after cruelty on factory farms, in puppy mills, research labs, trophy hunting, captive animal trade like circuses, the dog and cat meat trade. So we really address animal cruelty across the board, around the country and around the world.
So let's say a little bit more about several of those that you mentioned so people will be informed around that. How about what's commonly called Nosey's Law, which is the law around the use of exotic animals in zoos and for entertainment?
Yes.
Tell people about what's happened in regards to that lately that's good and what that means.
Well, New Jersey just last year became the first state in the entire country to comprehensively ban a sweeping list of wild and exotic animals from being used in these traveling shows and circuses. And while a number of local jurisdictions had passed local ordinances up to that point, there were a few states that banned bull hooks and other uses of elephants. New Jersey became the first state to pass that type of law, and I'm proud to say that Hawaii followed and California followed, and there's bills pending in other states. And that's really incredible because people don't truly realize that type of cruelty behind the curtain. The torture that these beautiful, majestic animals have to go through to be trained to do these silly, unnatural tricks. So that's why our legislature and our governor passed that law to get at that cruelty.
I'm so glad to hear that and so proud of New Jersey, something
Yes.
that New Jersey was in the forefront of.
Absolutely.
I love hearing that, and you're right, so many people don't even think of it as cruelty. They just don't, you're right, see what goes on behind the scenes, and people grow up with going to zoos
Right.
and going to circuses.
Correct.
Yeah, so talk about also the shark fin trade.
Yes, so just several weeks ago, the legislature finally cleared the Shark Fin Sales and Transfer Elimination Act. So it is sitting on Governor Murphy's desk at the moment. So if he signs that into law, which we certainly hope he will, and there's a large coalition of nearly 30 businesses, animal groups, and environmental groups in support of that bill becoming law, New Jersey would be the 14th state to ban the market and sale of these shark fins. So federal law already bans the actual practice of shark finning, which is a horrifically cruel practice where a shark's fin is cut off and the shark is thrown back in the water to drown to death or fend for itself. It's really, really horrific. And when we have 15 endangered shark species in our oceans, and there are critical species in our oceans, New Jersey should take this step to sign that into law to join all of our coastal neighbors and 13 other states, including Texas, which have passed this law. And there is a federal bill also pending, which just overwhelmingly passed the U.S. House of Representatives as well, which Senator Cory Booker is a proponent of and a prime sponsor on. So that's a huge accomplishment that we've worked hard on, and we hope that Governor Murphy will sign it into law.
I certainly hope so.
Yes.
Right? It's certainly cruel and unnecessary.
It's disgusting. It's a horrible trade. Sharks are finned internationally for this silly delicacy of shark fin soup. And
how did that even come to light? How did we even become aware that that was happening?
Well, it's an international market. It's happening everywhere. And when there are anywhere between 73 and 100 million sharks a year brutally harvested in this way, we're decimating the ocean ecosystems, allowing this to happen. So states have it within their power to ban this type of sale and possession of this item, and that's what states are doing, and that's what New Jersey is on the cusp of joining as well.
Ah, good work, good work. All types of animals, all types. It's amazing when you start to dive into this, you don't realize how many types of cruelty there are. It's terrible to learn about, and how many animals and how many ways in which we shrug it off and don't think about it, and how invisible it all is.
And there are many groups that focus on companion animals, dogs and cats, and animal shelters.
They get a lot of attention.
And we do
which is great.
Yes, and they're doing great work, and we work with them, and we do work with animal shelters. We have a lot of animal shelter partners. Companion animal issues are a real important issue we care about, and we have passed laws in New Jersey recently on protecting companion animals as well. But we focus on fighting for all animals. It's broader than just companion animals. There's, as you said, there's institutionalized and widespread cruelty affecting billions and billions of animals beyond cats and dogs. And that's the type of cruelty we really need to get at. Right. Sharks and captive animals and factory farmed animals. I mean, research animals used in research labs. It's across the board.
Absolutely. It's so normalized, right? And so thank you for bringing all that to light, for doing the work that you do. So let's talk about a big issue or of concern in New Jersey, which is the bear hunt right now.
Yes.
And I know we're at a bit of a stalemate with the governor. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. You know, this is a very important issue for us. I know you've dedicated an entire show to it, which is wonderful. I hope the governor sees that, because the governor did issue emphatic promises during the campaign to issue a full moratorium on that black bear trophy hunt here in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And 3 former governors have ended this hunt. It is doable, and unfortunately the governor is relying on a very faulty interpretation of a state Supreme Court decision, which basically said that the commissioner, him or herself, could not unilaterally end the hunt. But that doesn't change the fact that the governor has broad executive powers to end that hunt. And he did issue a partial moratorium on the bear hunt on state property, which is a good step. But when 3 former governors have ended this horrible hunt altogether, we hope the governor does keep his promise and stops following such flawed advice from those that are really just protecting the hunting interests within the Division of Fish and Wildlife. And that's really the sad part about this ultimately, is
trophy hunting.
The overwhelming majority of New Jersey residents, both Democrats and Republicans, are against this type of hunting, are against trophy hunting. And yet there's a minuscule number of NRA-backed hunters that are supporting this extreme hunt, which is not representative of sound wildlife policy. It's not representative of what the public wants. I mean, it's really, really unfortunate, and the governor has overwhelming support to end this hunt.
It almost seems like just very obvious. Like, what's the holdup? What's stopping it? Like, he would be a hero.
He certainly
people would be singing him praises, his voters, his constituents. It doesn't make any sense. And if he has any kindness in his heart, I mean, for these bears who are now currently being hunted for absolutely no reason, they don't pose a threat.
Michelle, you hit the nail on the head, which is the governor has a wonderful pro-animal record. He's signed Nosey's Law. He's really been a wonderful person and a wonderful governor when it comes to animal welfare issues. Unfortunately, this is a huge stain on that record and on that legacy. And to your point, he's lost a lot of support, I think, from people who expected him to keep his promise on that. And there's still time to change his mind, and there's still time to end that hunt.
Yeah, it's never too late. I mean, at any point he could step up and sign that executive order and make like declaration. So Are you hopeful? I'm trying to be hopeful, but it's hard to remain hopeful when we haven't. Nothing seems to, politics as usual.
Well, despite all the facts and all the reports he's been given, the correct interpretation of that court decision, the overwhelming support of the public for him to end the hunt, it's not happened yet. So we can only hope that he changes his mind. And as you said, he would be a hero for doing it.
Yeah. So we want to encourage people to continue to maybe call the governor and to mobilize.
You know, at this point, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of calls have been generated into his office, to the point where I think one day they had put a recording on because they were getting flooded with so many calls. In all honesty, I'm not quite sure what else can be done.
Right. So from there, let's talk about the puppy mills, which is another really serious issues. And for all the animal lovers out there, it hurts to hear about. What are puppy mills, in case people don't, it's a loose term, it's not an official term.
Right.
And what has the Humane Society and what has changed? What has been done?
So a puppy mill is a mass commercial breeding operation where there are horrifically abysmal standards, if you can even call them standards, for the breeding dogs and the puppies that are generated out of these mill situations. So the problem in New Jersey is we still have 21 smaller pet shop operations that are sourcing from these horrific puppy mills, largely from out of state. And I'm proud to say that New Jersey is #1 in the nation for the most number of local ordinances passed banning the retail sale of cats and dogs from these horrific places. So I believe we're now at around 140, maybe even a little more than 140 municipalities.
So how does that come to happen? What is a local ordinance exactly, and how does
So for example, Princeton could pass an ordinance. I don't believe yet Princeton has, but we would certainly support Princeton doing it, passing an ordinance banning any pet shop from selling these animals. So pet shops could open up. Actually, most pet stores in New Jersey do not sell cats or dogs because they recognize it's inhumane and unpopular. They sell services and products, and it's a booming business. It's a booming industry. Everything from Petco and PetSmart on down to small mom and pop retail pet shops that are not selling puppy mill cruelty. Princeton could pass an ordinance supporting the adoption of rescue and shelter pets, supporting responsible breeders who would never sell to or through a pet shop, and opposing the sale of puppy mill animals. So we hope Princeton does it. We hope more towns do it.
How would you get that on the town's radar screen? Someone
a council person could propose the ordinance, and we would assist them with that. And you know, we've had Democratic and Republican officials all throughout the state support these measures, and New Jersey leads. We're #1 in the nation with it. And just recently, this week, Sayreville in Middlesex County passed an ordinance. Last week, Metuchen in Middlesex County passed an ordinance. The Mercer County Board of Freeholders has passed a resolution supporting these ordinances and opposing puppy mills. They joined 8 other counties in doing that. So there's been a monumental progress made on this issue, and we will continue to work on it to educate legislators and educate people on how to responsibly obtain a pet. We, of course, support going to a shelter and or a rescue to adopt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop.
But we also educate people on what a responsible breeder is, and that's not a puppy mill.
Yeah. Well, hope that continues to go in the right direction. As one town passes an ordinance, another one does. It tends to be that way. So what about dogfighting and cockfighting? Is that still happening at a very significant level, and what has the Humane Society done to address that?
Believe it or not, in a state like New Jersey, we are a hotbed for animal fighting. It's very surprising. It's sad. It's horrific. Just several years ago, there was a national dogfighting bust operation, Operation Grand Champion, major operation with the FBI, other law enforcement agencies. 4 out, I believe it was 8 of those locations busted for huge dogfighting operations were here in New Jersey. And so there was just a large cockfighting bust in Patterson a week or so ago. So this is a real problem, and I'm glad to say, thankfully Governor Murphy did sign legislation earlier this year which banned the use and possession of animal fighting implements used in conjunction with animal fighting enterprises. And it's actually now a separate third-degree crime that law enforcement can charge animal fighters with. So New Jersey became the 25th state in the country to pass that bill into law. And it's yet another tool in the toolbox for law enforcement to get at the horrific animal fighting operations that go on in New Jersey.
So are you hopeful about that as well, that maybe that is one of the issues that is looking like it's being looked at seriously and things are happening?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, what can the average citizen, a concerned and compassionate citizen, do to, on their own, prevent and stop animal cruelty? And how would you like for the average person to get involved, maybe more involved with the Humane Society or other organizations?
That's a fantastic question, because there are local, state, and national organizations doing incredible work every day, expending lots of donor funds and resources to address these concerns and these issues. But at the end of the day, we can't do it by ourselves, and it takes everyday citizens to join and help. So to your question, there's two key things that a resident could do. The first is, if you see cruelty, if you suspect animal cruelty, report it to the local police. Every local police department is mandated to have a municipal humane law enforcement officer. Right. Please, if you see something, say something. A dog being left out in the cold is not allowed anymore for longer than 30 minutes. If you see animals being mistreated in any way, if you suspect there's an animal fighting operation in your town, whatever it is, if you see it, report it. The second thing is advocate for these policies with your local officials, with your state legislators, because that's how these laws get passed. When elected officials hear from their constituents who care about animals and are willing to convey their thoughts and their views in a respectful, productive manner, they listen. And so we wouldn't be able to be successful if we didn't have the support of the public in working for these types of initiatives.
So it's absolutely a team effort.
Absolutely.
So everybody really can help. At the very least, you can support these organizations, become involved in organizations, donate to organizations, but keep your eyes open.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to speak up and to report.
Absolutely.
To the proper authorities. I mean, there's just so much apathy. People are overwhelmed in general, and there's so much apathy in the world, but we need to shake that up.
Right.
And we need to take a look at really, stopping that. So do you have any sort of maybe final words, I guess, in terms of what you would really want people to know about what you're doing, what's going on, and the future?
I like the fact that the word positive is in the name of your show. And that's what it's really all about, is focusing on the developments that we can make and the progress we have made and can make for animals, and building positive collaborations and positive relationships, because we don't get anywhere bashing people over the head and criticizing them on social media. Where we get is working collaboratively, building bridges, and not burning them. So that's my job as the state director with HSUS, is to collaborate and build coalitions and work with legislators, work with both sides, work with the general public in a productive, positive way to bring about as much progress for animals as we can. Absolutely.
The animals, we want to remember, they're the victims, and
Absolutely.
They're the innocent ones, and
we need to be their voice.
We want to be their voice. We want to be on their side. So to fight amongst ourselves or to have any of that negativity amongst us certainly doesn't serve them, and at the end of the day is absolutely not going to help the animals.
Absolutely correct. I wish everyone would hear that message.
Yeah. So advocating again for animals and attempting to create a more humane society takes every person being involved.
Yes. And it's not just an animal, because people care about animals, and how people treat animals is an indicator of how they will treat humans.
Sure.
And the FBI crime data, experience shows that when people abuse animals, they often graduate to crimes against children, mass shootings. All of these mass shooters had histories of animal torture and animal abuse. So this is a very serious issue, how people treat animals, how our society approaches animals. And so the more we work towards a more humane society and the more that we fight for all animals, the better off and safer our communities and our kids are.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not us and them. It is all. We are one community, animals and humans together.
Absolutely.
And so we want to work toward a nonviolent and peaceful world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for being here today, and thank you, on behalf of the animals, thank you for all that you're doing with your organization. Continue to keep up the fight, and we hope that people will certainly get involved.
And thank you to Princeton TV for airing and being host of these issues.
Absolutely. Go Princeton TV.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Now for a special treat, my musical guest, singer-songwriter Lindsay Jordan.
I'm packing up these silver strings, gonna put them in a bag. I'm heading for a better place, and I ain't coming back, yeah. Well, there's a warm wind blowing on the other side of the sea. That sweet African air is calling for me, yeah, yeah, yeah. And this all too familiar feeling is bringing me back home. Back home. We're only worlds away, but next time I'm gonna stay. And with these silver strings, I can grow some wings and fly. I can fly high. I can fly. It won't seem so far away with these silver strings. Well, my suitcase is heavy, got a guitar on my back. I'm heading for a better place, and I ain't coming back, yeah. Tell mama I love her, and I'll be back someday. I'll spend my lovin's place, now I gotta pay. And this all too familiar feeling is bringing me back home. Back home. We'll only be words away, 'cause next time I'm gonna stay. And with these silver strings, I can grow some wings and fly. I can fly high. I can fly home. Don't you see that I can fly with these silver strings? Silver strings. Silver strings.
We're wrapping up another enlightening show. As human beings, we don't always demonstrate or express our best side. but you can go out in the world today and be the very best human you can be. Start by treating all sentient beings with kindness and basic compassion. Thank you, Monday Morning Flowers, for the beautiful floral arrangement. Thank you for watching. Check out MicheleGranberg.com, go vegan, and join me next time on Positive Energy.